guys, I am Christina Heideck from PTO Answers, and today we are looking forward to the new school year. But first, we need to wrap up this school year, and so today I am here to share with you what you need to do as both the outgoing officer as well as the incoming officer in the way of officer transition best practices. So you can't just be like chucking your binder at somebody and calling it a day and saying, here, new officer, take all my junk and just skedaddle. That is not what you, as the outgoing officer, I am sure that is what you kind of feel like doing. Maybe not so much this year because this year's a little funky, but most years, if you think back to prior years, you've probably been like so done with your position that you're like, oh my God, just take my stuff, go. And you don't really want to do anything more than that. This is just such a critical time for setting next year up for success, because what you do right now as both the outgoing officer as well as the incoming officer, and I should say this is like a leader in any capacity. So even if you're not an officer, but you're a committee chair, or if you've just stepped up to coordinate a single program, now is critical. And no matter like pandemic or not, now is like super critical. As an outgoing officer, what you need to be doing, go through your files and get them all set up. And I dropped a couple links already in the video description, but there's one I just realized I forgot to do, and that's this one. I have a whole separate blog post about what to do to wrap up your position. And I make all these great suggestions, and I highly suggest you go to that post, and I will add it back into the description when go through that, because it really walks you through the process of what to do when you leave your office so that you can, or your position, so that you can feel really good about yourself, knowing that you have set up your successor for success. You've done everything you can to make sure that they have a great year, because you're not in this just for you. You're not in this just for your kids. You are in this for, like when you say your kids, it's like the whole school. And I will tell you, that's one thing that keeps me going. And when there's something that's not going very great, I can go into the school and the kids are like, oh, Mrs. Heideck, you know, that was hi, and they're waving and smiling, and it's really lovely. So just know that as much as you want to be done, you need to like finish the job. Basically, if you haven't read that post, let me just sum it up for you. Basically, it's just getting all your stuff organized, because chances are if you've accumulated materials throughout your term that are helpful to you, but maybe not anybody else. Maybe not, but you just need to go through all your stuff and really, even if you were not handed the materials, because I gotta say, someone in the PTA, PTO Superstar group, they're like, heck, I was just given crap, so I'm just gonna pass crap on. Well, I don't think that's any way to be, number one. And number two, come on now, let's just be adults. So anyway, go through your stuff, get it in the shape that you would have wanted to have received it in, okay? So leave it in better shape than what you found it. Go through and clean up everything, get it all nice and organized, maybe add in materials. And most importantly, and this chances are this was not done for you, and so this might be a new process for you to start doing, but this is the one step that people miss that I think is like, oy, 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 if we just all started doing this, we'd make our lives so much easier long term. And that is to go through and review each of your events and your position and kind of do like a summary of what worked, what didn't, what needs to change. And if you're looking for guidance on like, well, what kind of information should I be talking about? I have those plans available those planning sheets available in the President Success Kit, which is also part of the complete collection, complete planning and organizing collection. So I've put all those resources together for you in one place, but for the event summary and committee and officer leadership summaries, those are really key, because that is going to download some of the information from your brain, put it onto paper, and that way you'll be able to pass it on to the incoming. Fill out those forms, pass along that information, that all the stuff that you had to figure out, put it down on paper so the next person doesn't have to waste time figuring out. And after a while, what this will do is it'll refine your group's processes so that you can look at what has been done and you can make improvements based on that. And eventually you'll have less time being spent on figuring out the basics and more time on refining and improving everything so that events are easier to plan. You know what's worked so that you can just go ahead and do that again. Or you know, like, oh, that caterer, they brought really small portions, or the food was kind of crappy, and so we don't want to go with a caterer, but we like the menu, so maybe we can just find a new caterer to do the same menu for us, or something along those lines. But when you start collecting that information, start getting it out of your head and down onto paper, that is what's going to make the true difference for your PTAs and PTOs. Like, that is what is going to allow people to spend less time like doing the administrative tasks of PTA positions and PTO positions, and more time, like that just leaves them more time for life. So you're going to be more attractive to potential new volunteers because you're going to be saying, hey, look you have this wealth of information. Like, you want to take on VP of membership? I'm going to give you all the resources you need right in this binder. Think about what a much more attractive position that is than if you say, hey man, yeah, you want to come do this, and we'll sit down and talk, but yeah, we'll find some time, but I'm like super busy. Like, which one would make you want to become involved with the PTO more? For sure, the one where you're getting the binder, right? So that's why I'm saying it's so essential to be getting all of this information into a written form. And as much as you think like, oh, I'll remember to tell Stacy about whatever when that comes up, you're not going to. You just won't, because stuff comes up. You get busy, it just slips your mind. It's not going to happen. So you got to write that stuff down. All right. Outgoing officers should be assembling all of that information. And incoming officers, as soon as you know you're going to be in that position, whether elections have been held or not, because sometimes elections are just formalities, right? You know you're really going to be in that position. Like most of my PTAs, we do not have contested elections. So if you have agreed to that position, you're going to be in that position, whether you've officially been elected or not. So if you're an incoming leader, you should start learning about your position. You should start making plans. So the outgoing officer, like I said, you're going to be downloading all of your thoughts about your programs, about your events, and about going through your materials, get your binder together. Then I want you to hand over the materials when the election happens. Okay? And I want you to give them access to the digital materials that, again, you were preparing and putting up on your group's Google Cloud. And if your group is not using a cloud system and you're still like putting things on thumb drives and running them across town, girl, upgrade to Google Drive. Chances are you will not have enough documents to exceed the free limit. Get your group their own email address through Google and use that. Please stop doing stuff in your personal email. It just clutters everything up. I have a separate blog post, and I did put that link in the description about how to organize your group's files, including how to manage a Google Drive or a cloud-based system. Doesn't have to be Google. That's just what I use. So that's why I mention it. So I want you to hand over those materials, grant access, and then kind of at the same time, schedule a transition meeting. Don't want you to be handing over your materials at the transition meeting. That is going to waste your time, and it's going to waste the incoming officer's time too, especially if they are new to the game. And here is why. If you are handing them the materials and then verbally telling them, like unloading on them everything they need to know, it's going to be going like this to the new officer. Straight over their head, because they got other stuff going on, and it is a whole lot of information to get all at once. So if you hand over the materials in advance, and if you grant access to the Google Drive in advance of your transition meeting, and in advance, I mean like 1 to 2 weeks, you are going to be making the transition meeting so much more effective for both of you. You, as the outgoing officer, are going to know that you have given the incoming officer an opportunity to review the materials, to think of any questions. Just really have a chance to like absorb more of the information you're going to be relaying during the transition meeting. If you're waiting until the transition meeting to hand over those materials, like I said, it's just like, it might be good for you, but the incoming officer is just way too much information, and they're just not gonna, they won't get out of it as much as they could have. And that'll just require follow-up emails or phone calls, which I'm sure you're willing to do, but they're unnecessary if you do this the right way. Incoming officers, I want you to get that binder. If the outgoing person has not already given it to you, you can suggest kindly, I am so excited to be the new staff appreciation chair. I was wondering if I could get the materials for you and then we could schedule a meeting. Like, that is a really nice way to say it, instead of, hey Mary, get your butt in gear and give me all the stuff so I can take over, right? Don't want to say it like that. So once you get the binder, again, review it and really take the time, carve out the time. If the officer has done, if the outgoing leader has done their job and has taken the time to prepare everything for you, I want you to look at it. Even if you think Mary is Looney Tunes and did a horrible job, if she did a horrible job and she's passing materials on to you, chances are she did not look at those materials. She did not take the time to look at what has been done in the past. And she wasted her time when she could have been doing a much better job in her position, having reviewed those materials. And I bring this up because I forget the name of the superstar in the group, but we were talking about passing along materials, and she said, you know, because she had bought some of the resources that are available in my shop. And she goes, I did a bang up job. I made a beautiful binder and set this all up, and incoming people, they didn't even want it. She like wouldn't even take it from me. That is a sign of a very small person who would not even take the binder from her. I think they're going to do not such a hot job because they're going to have to reinvent the wheel and everything. And that, she must have loads of time. So be the bigger person, look through the materials, take out what you can. Even if you get crap materials from the outgoing person, there's still going to be something in there that you can use. It's just like when your kids get a bad teacher, or when you got a bad teacher growing up, there's always something to be learned from teachers. Might not be exactly what you thought you would like learn, but you can learn something because you can learn what not to do. So look at those materials, start asking questions, like write down all the questions that you want to ask during the transition meeting. And then when you go to the transition meeting, take that list with you and make sure to ask those questions and make sure to get the information. And even if the outgoing leader does not know the information, you'll still know what you want to know, and you can go to other people. Other people might be able to fill in the gaps for you. So that'll just make you more prepared, right? So then you're going to take all this information and you are going to start planning. You are going to start planning, women. I cannot stress the importance of planning, especially in this upcoming year that is gonna, I guarantee you, going to be super funky for us all. And we're all like, I am just wishing this time away because I don't like uncertainty. I am such a planner. But you need to make plans, flexible plans, very flexible. That's going to be the name of the game for like the next 2 years. Be super flexible, because the key to success is when you plan early. And I will tell you, the years when I have planned now, and even earlier, like when I see that I'm going to get a new position, because you can kind of see the lay of the land, and most times you know what you're interested in doing, and you know what you're not going to be doing, so you know what you don't have to prepare for, but you kind of get ideas, right? So the years when I have really taken the time to get everything mapped out in March, April, May, the following years have been gangbusters. Like, just pretty easy. Like, one year I did family events at 2 different schools, and I planned the same year. It was like crazy because I'm just nuts. But anyway, I planned everything out in the spring, and that way I just had to execute that whole next year. And that really made my life much easier, because stuff comes up and you never think you never end up having the time that you think you're gonna have later on. So that's why I encourage you to do all of this now, and to do more than you think you need to do right now. Now through March 18th, the complete collection that I mentioned earlier, the complete planning and organizing collection, it's actually on a fantastic sale. now through May 18th. You can get it for over 30%. And this gives you a resource for pretty much every leader in your group. So I highly suggest you check it out. If the whole big bundle is not for you, find one of the individual resources that will help you most. And the whole reason I made this was to shortcut the process for you. Because when I was starting out, I did not see these resources. I had to learn it all on the fly, figure it out on my own. And I thought, why are we doing life like this? Why? Why can't we just shortcut this process? So that's what I've done. I put in, people were like, hey, just put everything together. I don't want to think about it. I just want everything. So boom, there you go. Call it complete, because it is pretty much all of my resources and not the flyers for right now. So anyways, go ahead and check that out. There's a link in the description. And one other thing before we go, if you have something that you want me to talk about, let me know, please. I am open to any and all suggestions. You have an idea for what you want me to talk about. Anything. Either drop a comment down below or email me at Christina@PTOanswers.com. And here is a word to the wise. Your girl hates Facebook Messenger. Hates it. So email me. We're going to go old school. I'm going to make you email me, Christina@PTOanswers.com. Would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching today, and I will be back soon. I got to figure out what is next on the hit list to share with you, but I'm going to be back with more relevant information for you to become a better leader so that you can run a stronger PTO. So until then, take care, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.